Well, with me now is Isabel Oakeshott, the journalist behind the huge leak, who also helped Matt Hancock write his COVID book. Isabel, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure.
You've had a long day.
Yeah, not been dull, I think it's fair to say.
That's certainly true. Look, you heard what Lord Bethell said about you in that interview there. You've been anti-lockdown, you've got an axe to grind, you've slurred a whole load of hard-working civil servants, you're just picking up on snippets. What's your response to him?
Well, look, this is pretty desperate stuff from Lord Bethell. An axe to grind. I've always been incredibly clear where I stand on lockdown and more broadly in the response to the pandemic. I've never made any secret about that. Matt Hancock knew that and didn't have a problem with that. Look, the reason for revealing these WhatsApp messages is because the whole nation deserves to know what happened, who was saying what, and what was going on behind the scenes when critical decisions were being taken that affect all of our lives and are still affecting millions of people's lives in an adverse way. So we deserve to know that. Now, it would be lovely to think that all this would come out in the public inquiry. After all, Matt Hancock has said that he's given all this information to the public inquiry. Just one problem. We might have to wait at least 10 years before we get any answers from the public inquiry. If you look at the terms of reference for that inquiry, I could spend a year on each one of the 30 things they have to look at.
Right,
so look, we can't afford to wait for that.
But Lord Bethell's point, I think, is Matt Hancock's point is that, I mean, it is true to say you don't have the full story here. You do have, albeit fascinating, tidbits and snippets from what was going on. It's kind of harsh to judge the lot of them. They're trying to manage a crisis from just their WhatsApps, isn't it? Don't we need the rest of it? And that's the inquiry's job. Well,
look, here's an open invitation to Lord Bethell, although I've already seen all his text messages. Here's an open invitation to anybody else in government who thinks that I've only got part of the story to hand over their WhatsApps, either to me or to an accelerated public inquiry.
You're not the High Court judge leading the inquiry. That's the point. You've got to be a sober High Court judge to go through it all in fine detail. And if it takes years, it takes years.
Well, I don't think that's good enough, frankly. We cannot wait years. There could be another pandemic next month. We can't wait. And the Telegraph has not overclaimed for any of this. They're very clear that there may be gaps in conversations that we don't know about. They have not, in any shape or form, suggested that we've got everything. But I think 2.7 million words is a pretty good start, don't you?
All right. Let's talk about this non-disclosure agreement. You had to sign that when you agreed to write this book.
I didn't have to sign anything.
I
actually volunteered it.
OK, but you did sign this non-disclosure agreement. You've obviously broken that. Now, Matt Hancock is busy telling everyone today he's considering legal action against you. Does that worry you?
Look, the reality with a non-disclosure agreement, although it is something I take very seriously, is that there was overwhelming public interest in these revelations. Now, I discharged my duty to Matt Hancock. I helped him produce a book that made an extraordinary impact. He got what he wanted out of that. But the reality was that I was left over with an enormous amount of very important information. And I have taken a judgment, which no doubt you and some others might want to give me a bit of a kicking for, that it was more in the public interest for me to release that stuff than to protect myself from accusations I've broken an NDA with a politician.
I don't give it a kick, I just ask questions. You know me, I try to be pretty fair.
I can take the odd kicking, that's all right.
I try to be fair to all the sides in all this. Can I just ask you about this? Because you did write an article in The Spectator when you first published this book with Matt Hancock. He published the book. You were quite favourable towards him, especially on care.
Let me be very clear. I know what you're going to say. I actually know what you're going to say.
I know, but the viewers might not. So what you wrote was, on that care homes policy, the evidence I have seen is broadly in his favour. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was simply not possible to test everyone. Neither the technology nor the capacity existed. The Telegraph and you this morning are attacking him from just that.
It's really very, very easy to explain the difference. 2.7 million words. Do you think I had a chance to go through all of that in the time frame to write the book? I didn't. And also, I was working with Matt Hancock to write his book. The evidence that I've seen during the period of the project I worked on him was, as I said, broadly in his favour. Of course, I was listening to his side of the story, not raking through all those 100,000 plus WhatsApps. I wouldn't have had time to do all that by myself. I didn't have an agenda either to discredit Matt Hancock. This isn't about Matt Hancock. It's about the whole lockdown response. I don't have any animus for Matt Hancock. I hope he doesn't want to go to war with me. I think that would be a very unfortunate and ugly business, because this is much bigger than him. isn't it? It's not about Matt Hancock. It's about every one of us and all our children in particular that suffered.
Same question I asked Kate. Are you still getting WhatsApps from ministers?
Actually, weirdly, and here's the funny thing, I've had a number of messages from serving ministers today who said, obviously we can't say this publicly, but well done and thank you for what you did. It needs to be done.
Do you want to name some names?
Certainly not, because actually some confidentiality I take very seriously.
Well said, Isabel Oakeshott.